No, she's, I didn't know if there was 10 seconds still or 50 seconds or 20 minutes or whatever.
Probably get a new printer.
They're thinking we can play as much as 5 minutes of but it wasn't work. It was. Subject to get last year.
So I drove all the way down there.
This is your class?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of new people too, right?
Doug, are you all ready? It's 6:30, and we're going to start the March 20th meeting of the Auburn City Council. And the first item is to call the meeting to order. And are there any agenda additions, or otherwise I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda?
No, just one item of note on the first resolution. I put the third.
Thank you. That second. Moving second to approve the agenda. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Are you good, Paul? You can hear us, we can see you, you're all set? All right. Moving on to communications.
Yep.
Is there anybody here that is here to speak to anything on the city council agenda? That's not on the agenda? Public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to consent agenda. 3 items, liquor license and council minutes. Any questions of staff on that? Otherwise, we'll accept the motion.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Steph.
I'll second.
And Deb. Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Paul. Opposed? Motion carries. We're to public hearing. Public hearing for the consolidated consideration of ordinance 3-20-2023A, amending chapter 70, traffic code enforcement procedures, this Mount Vernon Municipal Code. Well, first of all, open the public hearing for that at this moment. And have there been any public comment? Have there been any comments to City Hall with regard to this issue?
No.
If this is adequate time for the public hearing to be open, can I take a motion to close the public hearing and proceed to F1? So moved. Thank you, Greg.
I'll second.
And moved and seconded to close
We
the
do,
public.
hold on, we do have one gentleman just
Oh.
joined. I don't know, it may be worth just making sure that this.
That's our new Parks and Rec representative.
Representative.
Hello,
Okay.
Greg, can you hear us okay? Just checking, make sure that you can hear us. We've got a motion on the floor to close the public hearing on E1, to proceed to F1. I heard Craig for a motion, I'm not sure I heard
Second.
Deb for the second, okay. Got that motion? We're ready to vote on that, item. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Move on, the motion passes. Now we're on to F1, ordinance approval amendment for that same code change. Anything to add?
No, the changes are pretty cut and dry. We're just increasing the dollar amounts. This is to coincide basically what Lisbon is also doing, so that the officers only have to worry about one set of numbers. The dollar amounts haven't been changed in at least 7+ years, so we're probably behind time.
It'll make Tasha's job easier down the road.
Is this a ordinance, so this is a first read, correct? Okay, so my only concern with it was changing it, I know, at least from what I see, a lot of the tickets are Cornell students on Main Street, and my only concern was right at the end of the year, just changing the rules on them. So if we do 3 readings by then,
And the
school year's
reality,
gonna be done anyway. So-
I have no issue with the 3 readings, taking the time on this. We have to order the new tickets anyway. So we won't probably begin deploying these until after July.
Okay, all right, That was my only.
It'll be one of those items that we share with Cornell, so they can share with
Yep.
their students when they come back
This
for
one.
next school year.
Any other clarification, any questions or clarification on this? Further change?
So I'll move approval of ordinance 3-20-2023A, amending chapter 70 of the traffic ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Moved and seconded to approve the first reading, and that is a roll call vote, I believe. If you are ready, Marcia.
Turler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
And that motion passes, first reading. We'll move on to second reading next meeting. Moving on to resolutions for approval. First one is amended and restated Iowa Governmental Health and Related Benefits Program 28E agreement. Insurance carrier.
Council, staff and I continue to look at ways to mitigate expenses or try to reduce expenses, especially when it comes to personnel costs. That is kind of a driving factor to our annual budget. Last year, our insurance for health premiums increased by just over 15%. This year, I was expecting the same number or higher, just based upon what the market is currently doing. And so, I think Doug and I probably get nudged for meetings probably 3 or 4 times a year, just from different carriers. Nobody's ever really been able to bring anything new to the table. We are considered in the large market, but we're on the small side, obviously, of the large market component. And so, we held a meeting with representatives that are part of the Iowa Governmental Health Care Plan, which is I don't want to call it a trust per se, but it is a large group setting. And the basis behind it is they represent 38 cities and counties and almost 9,700 individual members. So they have the ability then to directly negotiate plan designs with Wellmer, something that we can't do right now. I am pleased to say, and I got the renewal about 5 minutes before I left the office on Thursday, so I was correct, based upon what a layer group would have submitted. Our premium increase was going to be 21.17%. or $105,000. So that would have taken our health insurance program from $508,000, just over $508,000 to $605,000. With a small 8 to 10% increase this first year, moving to IGHCP, that number becomes $534,000, or about a $70,000 savings. This first year. Their average increase with their negotiation powers since 2006 has been 3.06% or 4.9%. And really, that was enough for me to take a serious look at making the change, just to have consistency on that side of things. But then, obviously, $70,000 savings this year makes a huge difference. So what you have is a 20-year agreement. We are asking to become a member organization of IGHCP. It's served by a board of directors, so there are representatives from cities and counties that make up a board and make decisions. All of those member entities are in that packet or part of that 2080 agreement, so you can see who is there. But the nice part about this is I think this is only going to continue to go. It stays with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is what is established in our union contracts. So I'm happy. A $70,000 swing when everything else is going on is a big jump for us. I think moving forward, this will bring some stability to our member benefits going forward.
So their since 2006, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Was in that 3% range? What's the last 5 years look like? Did they disclose that?
Yes, so,
Right, sorry.
no, you're good. Find the right sheet. So, the last 5 years has been, I'll start at 2018. So 18 was 2.06%, 4.88%, 4.6%, 4.77 in 2022. And 2023 is, they don't have yet, but sitting at less than 4%. I will tell you that that's not what Blue Mark or Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield presents them. I mean, they present them with anywhere from, 9 to 10 or 11% increase, and they're able to negotiate down because they represent so many groups. But yes, it's 3.09% since 2006, but there's only been 2 years in that entire time frame where it's been above 5. 2010 was 6.23%, and 2017 was 5.89%. Either
Still
way, that would be
significantly
a
less
huge
than-
win for us.
Yeah.
And so, I want to make a couple comments. Number one, on behalf of the Lair Group, has treated the city phenomenally. They have pulled every rabbit out of the hat they can in order to keep our benefit costs low, and have done so up until the last couple of years. Whether or not they've adjusted our self-funding or just done different things with the Wellmark plans, they've done a great job. As Doug and I alluded to, they ran out of rabbits. So at this point in time, I think as much as I don't want to switch just because of price, but we don't have any issues with player group. They've been really good, but this is $70,000.
So Chris, aside from the cost, you talked about it being with Wellmark as established in the union contract. Is the coverage that our employees are going to get, is everything the same?
For the most part, yes, it's actually a little better.
Okay.
So we currently self-fund our vision completely. There is a vision program now under IGHCP. So that's one added benefit with carry a vision card. Right now, they go, they pay, they come back, and then they seek reimbursement on those expenses. We currently self-fund our co-pays from $40 back down to $15. The problem with that is we also have task cards, where you can't use your task card to pay the full $40 when you're going to get a reimbursement coming back to you. The IRS says that's a no. So it's complicated for staff when they go. They have to pay and usually wait for 2 weeks before everything comes back. Moving forward, it's just a copay. So IGHCP negotiates the copay. This is what it is. So we don't have to seek reimbursement on those. We still will for larger ticket items when they go and have a hospital stay. There'll be out-of-pocket that gets reimbursed because we self-fund max out-of-pocket back down, things like that. So, but the benefits themselves actually get a little bit better. We have 9 tiers of prescriptions, I think right now, and it goes back down to 5. So, yeah, the benefits don't necessarily come in originally, but they're easier to use.
Okay. Thanks.
As for IGHCP, there's nothing that we need to do to become involved in this conglomeration?
Well,
It's
so
just
we
automatic?
will agree to the 2080. We passed all of their hurdles, so I've spent the last 2.5 months, 3 months, 2.5 months, going back and forth amongst both organizations, trying to get all of our insurance information, and they make a decision on whether or not to let you in. So their mantra is, we are seeking to grow this program, but not at the expense of existing members. So I won't share the city, but we were let in and one city was told no.
Oh, so we are in.
If we agree to the 2080 tonight, we are in. And this will take effect June 1st. That our insurance renewal is June 1st.
Is there any Alera group contact locally that'll be influence, that'll have consequences from this?
No, so it used to be group services. They were out of Davenport. And they were bought out or incorporated into a layer group. So locally, their offices are in Davenport. Nobody in Mount Vernon.
Thank you.
Well done. Nice job.
Yeah.
Wait.
I'll move to approve
Yeah.
resolution 3-20-2023A, approving the amended and restated Iowa governmental health and related benefits program 2018.
Thank you, Steph. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Deb? All and everybody are ready to vote on this? This is a roll call vote. Are you ready to go?
Herman,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
Motion carries and move forward with that relationship there. Thanks for preparation, obviously giving an adequate study there the last few months. Next to our no parking zone resolutions.
So for both of these, the map that was provided kind of shows you where the designated no parking would be. We did not receive any communication back on Third Street. We did receive quite a bit of communication back on A, all positive. And I think it's probably a complaint that we fielded on just about every event that we've had downtown that requires us to close off that area. So both warranted. Emergency vehicle access is imperative.
And this would be permanent signage. This isn't just during events. This is
Correct.
permanent.
A Avenue is still signed for the bus route when the buses use the First Street building. So it's still signed that way, which is part of it as well. But going there during Chalk the Walk this last, and during some of the events that we've had, it's, I can get the squad car through barely. There's no way they're gonna get a fire truck or an ambulance through there. And a lot of those when they're double parked on both sides.
And are you ready to start enforcement by chalk the walk?
Yep, you bet. Yeah, so this resolution, this is the one reading. And
Right.
signs will go up and, yep, we'll
Ready
be
to
up.
enforce it?
You bet.
Remind me, Doug, the letter went out for G2 here that we're talking about a month or so ago?
One was in February, the other one was like the first part of March,
Yeah.
and then requested feedback by March 17th, which I still have, I haven't received anything on that one.
When we get the three, we can talk about that. I would move to approve resolution 3-20-3023B, approving the new no parking zone designations along A Avenue.
So, thank you, Craig. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Steph. We're ready to vote on G2. That is a roll call vote. You're ready, Marcia?
Engel,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Move forward with that process. G3, a similar type of no parking zone designation, but I think you had no question about this, Craig?
Yeah, for Doug and Chris, do we need to let this be out there a little bit longer? Did you send out 2 notes for the A Avenue?
No, just the one
Okay.
letter. This, honestly, the A Avenue responses I got were pretty much immediate. Once they received the letter, I think I had the 3 responses within 2 days of receiving the letter
Yeah.
from that standpoint. Knowing that this went out March 6th, being 2 weeks removed from that, then having 0 response from that standpoint. There is, I'd have to do the count, a handful of houses that would be impacted by this area
Yeah.
from there.
I would have expected feedback from maybe 305, 309, and 315, because they're a little houses have such a steep slope that it's unlikely that they were gonna park there and walk up to their houses. The majority of the parking issues that we have
Unless they couldn't get up.
are,
There's that.
They will still have the ability to park on the south side of that road.
yeah,
On Third Street, it's next to the walking trail, kind of on that side.
it's more event related,
Mhm.
and it's not individuals that are living there that typically cause the problem.
Most of these single family versus,
Except for when you get close to B Avenue, there's a brick building that had 2 or 3 apartments in it. So, right across from Gaines's, that's it.
okay. Any other questions or comments about that proposed resolution? Ready to move forward on that one?
I'll move approval of resolution 3-20-3023C, approving the no parking zone designation on Third Street Southeast.
Okay, Deb?
A little second.
Got it.
Shouldn't that be 2023?
It is, I made a note of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
was just reading as it was typed.
Nope.
Yeah.
This won't go into effect for 1,000 years. Looking down the road here.
It'll just throw my future predecessors off, and I go, how did they get to 30 or 23?
We're locking future councils into weird stuff.
Not that type of rapid change. We understand the ordinance, the resolution that we're voting on here, and we're ready to go to a roll call vote. Marcia?
Rose,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Turler,
Yes.
That resolution passes, and good luck with enforcement and signage and getting that process going. Next item is mayoral proclamations. I want to talk about a couple things down in my mayor's report, so I won't have anything here, no old business. Motions for approval, consideration of claims list. Last one presented, sent out by Marcia this afternoon. Any questions?
The only question I had were there, so we're getting the artwork for the LBC. And it's broken into a couple of different chunks. And is that just the funds that those are coming from, or what's the?
So, no, there are different vendors that she is utilizing, and in order for her not to get penalized for tax purposes,
Okay.
these are direct costs
Okay.
that are
Okay.
going to the vendor, so it was.
So she contracted with the vendor. X,
Yes,
and
she
we're
provides
just
us
writing
the
a check.
invoice from the vendor,
Okay.
and then we're just paying the vendor direct.
Okay.
Otherwise, her.
Otherwise, it's all gonna
her
flush through
income
her, and
becomes,
she's
yeah.
gotta, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Other than Scott's question, any other questions or concerns about the claims list?
With that clarification, I would move approval of the claims list as presented.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll
And
second that.
ready to vote on the claims list presented this afternoon. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to J2, discussion consideration of Historic Preservation Commission correspondence with Shane Amundson regarding 724 Fifth Northwest.
Since Shane is not present, I would go ahead and do this next week.
Table again? Okay. I think we've done that before.
Do we need?
What is a light?
Table something?
No, I'm just putting it on, it's just a motion.
Is the likelihood, since we've been down this road twice,
The only thing that I would say, and he has communicated before, he did not communicate with me today, but they have a brand new baby.
I know they
Been in and out of the hospital, so.
I think we'll table that one.
Yeah.
With no action needed. Number 3, discussion consideration of bidding of leased cardio equipment. Council action is needed. Mr. Siders. Podium is yours.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Hi, Matt.
Hello. I apologize, this is late, but we are like right down to the minute trying to get information from the vendors and get accurate information and changes we have made as of even over the weekend and into today. So this is your first look, but I'm going to give you kind of an estimate of where we're at. We leased equipment at the LBC when we first opened. It arrived January of 2020. It was a 3-year lease, so 36 months. Well, as you know, 36 months from January 2020 brought us to January 2023. January is not a good month to trade out your cardio equipment because basically you'll need to shut down for 2 days to exchange all of that equipment, if not 3 days. So we actually sought an extension of the lease for 6 months, so we are good until July 1st. But we're coming up on a window where we need to order this equipment so that we can get it to arrive on time. So we're in a 6 to 8 week window right now to be able to receive this equipment. So we are trying to get it before you for approval, or consideration at least in that regard. So we reached out to 3 companies, Johnson Fitness, Core Fitness, and Push Pedal Pull, which is Precor, is their main product, and received 2 bids back. I could go to a couple of the smaller organizations. We've done that in the past when we first opened the building. Found out that they can't meet some of the needs that we have in regards to equipment. They just can't get access to some of those vendors. So the 3 big ones I've reached out to, that we originally reached out to when we first opened the building. The 2 that we received back were Push Pedal Pull, so PPP stands for Push Pedal Pull. I apologize for not making that clear. And then Johnson Fitness. Within the boundaries of the quote, we originally started with just getting a similar quote to what we have as far as similar exercise equipment, cardio equipment. If you remember, we purchased the strength training equipment, so we own that. But we've leased the cardio because the cardio can wear out, and our goal was after 3 years to have brand new stuff for our members, which I think they're going to appreciate to a huge degree. When we priced this out, we had a thought process last week of not purchasing or not leasing our spin bikes. One of the issues with the spin bikes, when we originally leased it, we only leased 9 bikes. Well, as that class became fairly large, we needed to have more. We couldn't add to our lease because it was already in writing, so we had to purchase. So we purchased 5 additional bikes for that class and for that purpose. So we own 5 bikes, we lease 9. Well, when you have spin bikes and you have an instructor, you can't have 2 different types of bikes because they can't give you a command of changing your level or your speed or your resistance by, some bikes have a turnstile, some bikes have a lever, some bikes have another mechanism in place. So you can't mix and match your bikes per se, so you have to have all the same. So our goal was, when we came out with this quote, to get brand new bikes. As we investigated our bikes, they're in really good condition. In fact, if I could have back in the day, I would have purchased those as opposed to lease those because they last a long time. There's not a lot of mechanical things with them. There's no belts. They're all friction related. So the chances of those going bad are less and less. So if you see on the quote here with bikes, which is highlighted, $27,000 and $25,000, if we eliminate that option, we save a lot of money in regards to leasing the equipment. We have the option of purchasing, and I'm trying to find out from the leasing company how much it's going to cost us to purchase the 9 bikes that we currently lease. Push Pedal Pull, if you'll see on their quote, spin bike trade, for 5 of the bikes, they're giving us $500 per bike. So I'm hoping we can purchase those bikes from the leasing company, the 9, because we already own 5. These are the 5 that we're trying to sell. They'll give us maybe $500, close to that. I haven't quite made that arrangement yet, so we're hoping that it will. So it'll be a $4,500 purchase, $4,500 purchase, and that's a lot better than $27,000. So that's our thought process. And then we know after 3 more years of these bikes, which I feel they're going to last, after 3 years we'll have to make a decision there, which it will impact us a little bit more, but that 3 years will give us a huge savings and give us an opportunity to make some decisions. So, and by then we might have a depreciation fund started or something in that regard. So, with that said, you can see the price difference for the lease. I'll just give you an idea of what our lease was when we leased back in 2019. Bear with me just for a second. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Is that the approximately 28,000 a year that we read in the resolution here? The motion here?
Yes.
That's the 28 times 3. Okay.
Yep. So it was a total of $86,607. If you leave the bikes out and go with Johnson Fitness, it's $91,000, $96,485. So it's about, give or take a $10,000 increase. But over a 3-year period with everything that's going on, definitely see the most use. Do they have belts, electronic equipment that tend to go out and then a lot quicker? They also come in and out of popular much faster. So for us to buy them outright and then 3 years down the line say our pre-core machines now are obsolete and we want to buy 3 or 4 new items, we start to get this mix match, and this is where I feel like some of the facilities that we visited looked very piecemeal. The weight equipment and a lot of the other items that we have, if we can get the spin bikes purchased outright, I think those all make a lot of sense. But this, I feel like, will keep us looking fresh, especially to those that utilize the facility quite regularly. So I'm happy with the change and can move forward with Jocelyn Fitness and work on getting a good price. Just so you're aware that we do have, obviously, an account set aside for the LBC. Part of that is for the proceeds, the other part of that is the local option sales tax money that, comes forward as well. So I am comfortable. We do have what I would consider a quasi depreciation account for a lot of the equipment that's there because it's specific to the LBC. So there's money available if we need it.
If I may add also, one other thing that we did not have included in the previous lease was Precor came with a 2-year parts, 1-year labor warranty. And with this lease, we've included 3-year parts, 3-year labor to cover the extent of our entire lease. And so both of those companies have worked that into their pricing. So that's another benefit, that we don't have to pay out anything. Right now, we're paying out push pedal pull to come twice a year to PM our preventive maintenance, our equipment. So, and then also it's out of warranty right now. So anything that breaks down in our cardio, we have to pay out of pocket. So that's huge also, that our price did not go much higher.
How much
So
do
that-
you know ballparkish, how much we pay in preventative maintenance?
Yeah, so it's about $1,000 a year, twice a year. So it's twice a year, so it's $500 each time. And then also currently, like some of the machines are getting to the point where they've got something going along, a belt or a piece has been rubbed on by a piece of metal that's wearing off, so we've got to order new parts. So we've probably spent, I'm going to say $900 to $1,000 in just repairs in the last year.
I want to say when I looked at it, it was between $4,000 and $5,000 that we had spent outside over the course of the 3 years.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get a
Good
sense
year.
for.
Good move on the 3-year parking.
Yeah, I told them I don't want to go anything less than that. I mean, let's just cover it, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
And who knows, nickeling and diming could cost a lot. So, and I think our staff have done a really good job taking care of the equipment, the best that we can do. And then push pedal pull, I have nothing negative to say other than, they come twice a year and they do preventive maintenance. And it helps as well as us maintaining the equipment in the same token. But for the price difference that we have, I think, and it'll be new and exciting, I feel, to a lot of members. Some members will probably say, I love the previous equipment.
Anytime you change something.
Anytime we change something, right, and we're prepared for that.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, I missed that. You're thinking of, your recommendation then, Matt, is to go from push pedal pull to Johnson,
It is.
from Precor to
The
whatever.
Matrix is what the main brand is, yeah.
Yeah, those Precors are tanks.
They are.
That's a thing. I mean,
They are.
Really good.
All of this is commercial
Solid.
grade, just so you know. All of this is commercial grade, and the Matrix equipment that we've ordered is the highest commercial grade that they have. We didn't change consoles, so we didn't upgrade to any consoles. We kept the consoles the same, so they're LED instead of video. And both vendors told us the same thing, that you could go to video and it looks beautiful, but that's the first piece that goes out electronically, and that's not easy to get nowadays, as it was in the past. So sometimes machines might be down with the console for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because you're shipping it overseas to get that part. So that's something I didn't want to deal with either.
I would much rather see your people dealing with the visitors to the LDC and those sorts of things than to be dealing with maintenance.
Yeah, we don't have anybody on staff that can handle that, so Eldon can, but.
But that, you bring up a valid point, Craig, in that, you know, that's one of the other beauties of having just a 3-year lease is if enough members are coming back to us and saying, we would pay 5% more in our memberships if you would get Precor back. If they're that set on a brand, then we can take that information over the course of the next 3 years. You know, then evaluate that when we're looking at prices for memberships and things of that nature.
Where are these two vendors located?
Yeah, one is in Minneapolis and the other one's in Wisconsin.
So
they're.
when we deal with them, they're coming from.
Yeah, now the only difference I will tell you is that Push Pedal Pole has a maintenance department that is in Cedar Rapids, which we've had issues with in regards to parts and how they function. And I don't want to speak badly about that. I can do that in public or in private, but Matrix is coming out of Quad Cities, so it's a little farther of a travel, but we're not being charged for any trips because they're all going to be under warranty. Now, currently, we get charged for a trip, even from Cedar Rapids. And there are times we get charged for 2 trips from Cedar Rapids in one day, because a part was forgotten. Okay, I said it.
It's being celebrated.
You said that very nicely.
This ship is sailed right with a push pedal and pole. Did we get any break during the COVID years? No.
No,
We didn't ask her, it wasn't offered, or
we asked.
the contract was,
Yeah, contract was contract, because it's in our building. There's nothing they can do to fix that.
it didn't age.
So, and these are monthly payments? Or is this a one-time?
It's a quarterly payment.
Or quarterly,
Yep.
okay. Gotcha.
It's not me.
Online.
Okay.
So you need a motion not to exceed or?
Um,
Oh, no.
If you do a motion not to exceed, just, you can go ahead and do a motion to approve the leased equipment. If the purchase of the bikes is more than $500 a bike, I mean, there's a possibility that has to come back to you. Just know that we're going to try and buy those 9 bikes. The only thing, you don't need to have a motion on this, but if that purchase is under $7,500, I'll probably just go ahead and approve it since it's been discussed. If it's more than that, then you'll be hearing about it.
So would it be a not to exceed the 126 or the 96?
I think we stick with the 96 and we try to buy this one by
Can I ask one more question before you make a motion? Are we absolutely positive that Johnson will not charge us freight, delivery, and installation
Yes.
charges?
Yes, we confirmed that today.
And you have that in writing from them?
I have that in writing in a quote from them, yes.
Okay.
It shows a negative dollar amount for that, those 2 line items.
There will be additional documents if Johnson does something similar to push pedal pull. So they use a third-party leasing company. So you'll see that information.
Well, the way it was also explained to me was their delivery and their installation was included in the price of the product. So it doesn't show up on a 0 line item, but it's in there. So we are paying for it at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure
Yeah.
that we were.
No additional costs. Yeah.
Similar to a bid, if they submit a lease agreement that is different than what they have proposed here, you do not have to accept that one.
Have this conversation.
Yes, yep.
Unless there are further questions or concerns, I would move approval of moving forward with the bid from Johnson not to exceed, call it $97,000.
Second.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to approve the Johnson bid for the max. You have all specifics of that motion, okay? We're ready to vote on that. This is a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
And then moving on to Chuck and Walk. Chuck's not in the Suez Canal on a barge. parts this year, huh? Wasn't that last
I'm hoping to God this makes it on time. I was assured we're okay.
We do this normally, it's not to exceed $6,000 typically, it's a pass-through. Because it's chalk and it looks funky on the claims list later on, it's one that I like to have on here. So, that would make me,
Sort of, it wasn't.
Every year.
it's not a usual expense coming out of a city, $6,000 chalk.
Well, then I would move to approve the purchase of chalk for Chalk the Walk.
Awesome. It is.
Give it to Deb there with Craig and Deb. A motion on the floor to approve the purchase of Chalk the Walk chalk. And if there are no further questions, so we ready to vote for that motion. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and consideration of setting a public hearing date for budget amendment number 1. Fiscal 2023 budget.
We did go ahead and submit that, so we're looking for the April 3rd meeting.
And that date was
April
April 30?
3rd.
3rd.
Be the next council.
Next meeting.
Okay.
I wasn't 100% sure because we had to submit the public hearing notice before you actually set the date because of things. So, we did go ahead and submit that, and so we should be good for April 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes. If not, I'm gonna
Let's just start asking questions.
fudge the minutes back to.
To save the headache, I would move approval of setting the first budget amendment for fiscal year 22-23 for our first meeting in April.
And I'll second.
Pat and Deb. Hopefully there's no other considerations here, but let's vote on this by acclamation. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Going on to reports. Chief Shannon has sent us a police report. Anything to add, anything to questions? Doug on?
Nothing additional unless you have questions, council.
Thank you, Doug. Then Eldon, Public Works report. New hire, Cal Vaughn. Questions of Eldon?
So I don't know if it's appropriate for Ellen necessarily, but they have gotten involved in the, what do you call it? Waste removal when we do the large item disposal.
Oh, the questions?
No, sometimes they're, previously, sometimes you need to work that day. And I was just curious to know, have you guys set a date for that? Would that go to
No, so
public,
at
or
the last
will they
meeting,
have to be involved in?
I don't, that will be a council decision.
Okay,
So my hope is to get a date locked in with Matt from Republic first.
okay,
And then my recommendation is that we do not. We were taking the household chemicals
yeah.
being dropped off and staff was having to man that
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that.
on a
so-
Saturday. We were also taking metal.
Yeah,
Just based upon past history, there's a whole lot of reasons that I would quote to say that's not a good idea for us.
okay,
So my expectation is trying to work out a date with Matt to do a curbside, basically cleanup through Republic. Whatever they will take is what you can set out and kind of leave it at that. Most cities just do it in similar
yep,
fashion.
no, I think it's great.
It'll be the least amount of headaches, and then we don't have to track in and out.
And residents.
I just think because we haven't done it for a few years,
Yeah,
because
we-
of COVID, there could be more than usual.
Yes, and I think,
We do too this year.
you know, Matt would understand that. We pay for it, so it's just a matter of covering stuff.
So
I feel-
I may be wrong, but my understanding when Republic took over was we did away with the bulky item pickup because they would pick something up like that, like once a month, I think, for free.
Well,
But in their
They
contract,
agreed to a cleanup day.
Yeah, they have a day of contract.
the city covers the cost of that. I was hesitant to do it any sooner because we still haven't received our FEMA reimbursement, and all of our derecho costs are what came out of solid waste. So when we were doing all of the tree removal and everything, that had a healthy fund balance that we depleted during the derecho costs. When our FEMA reimbursement comes in, it will replenish those, and we will have the money to cover whatever expenses that would be associated with the cleanup day. So at this point in time, I don't know whether or not this would be a spring or fall, late spring or fall cleanup day. The expectation is that we will have one in 2023.
Great.
But yeah, if the council sees that, I would really not like to have a separate site.
Okay.
I think the citizens will appreciate that too.
I think so too.
I do. I mean, I hear about that more than anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Any latest news on when the FEMA payment will come in?
Well, so there's been a lot of communication with the state who is running that, and we submitted a revised list for a particular portion of the reimbursement last week. Yeah. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hopeful that we'll start to see it here in the next month and a half.
Everything's in their court.
Yes, but everything has been in their court a lot, so as soon as they change the staff person, we have to redo whatever documents they think they have, and then we had this last one, Lee had to go through the documents they had already submitted and put it into the form that this individual wanted to see, so crossing my fingers, and I'm doing it with a smile.
At least it doesn't work, though.
Yes,
He was on spring break last week, too. They've got it
First
right now.
meeting and she's calling me.
No, not Chris, not
The
Chris.
guy from-
The guy.
Oh,
he was out,
That's
out for
awesome.
medical reasons and then was out for spring break. No, and I would be remiss not to give a shout out to Laura Eccles, even though she's not with us anymore, because she did a lion's share of that initiative. The amount of money that we are subject to get back is in no small part to her and all of the department heads that kept a very good track of time during that period. So,
Yeah.
Do we get to charge interest?
So, the issue with
I know you want to.
FEMA is that it's not guaranteed, even though, I would say this, if they run out of money or another disaster happens, I mean, that money isn't guaranteed to us. So the fact that we're getting money back, I'm thankful for. Keep in mind that FEMA only comes into play when there's a presidential disaster. So we were lucky not only to get the state, but the presidential disaster when that occurred as well. So, and we've been anticipating these funds. They've been through the approval process with FEMA, so we were expecting them to come in. They're not guaranteed until they hit our bank though, and that's always kind of where I'm saying the longer it goes, the more nervous I get.
Yeah.
But we have gotten one reimbursement, and again, the expectation that this will be forthcoming, so you stretch for me. So.
I like to think about the interest, though. It's a real thing. Any other questions or comments on Public Works? We finish up development and moving to Parks and Rec, getting ready for spring activities.
Nothing further to add, sir.
Questions from council? Moving on to discussion items, CIP budgets. Anything to add there other than being a placeholder?
No, at this point in time, like I said, we have our budget hearing set. As of right now, at the state level, there are 2 property tax bills, one in the House and one in the Senate. They don't say the same thing, so about as much information as I can give you right now. We're monitoring it
been on there. And then reports, mayor's report, I'll mention two, three things here. Saw the school district put up some signage north of the, obviously on the way to high school. I don't know if there's other places where they did signage on campus, but they're getting ahead of us on our signage program here. I don't know if we want to, and we don't want to duplicate what they're doing, but we want to be maybe a little bit in sync with the style that Cornell has. They got their colors, the school's got their colors and style and so on, but just know that the school district has put up some location, wayfinding signage recently over break. Also, since the last meeting, there was I've been out of the loop mostly the last 2 weeks, but there's been emails from different council members with regard to two topics, and they're kind of related. One is on a statement from council with regard, or from the city, with regard to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I haven't crafted anything yet, but I have reached out to Lisa White to see what CDG is doing, because they've started on this, and I'm not sure where they're at, maybe they're done by now. But I've also reached out to Cornell to see what theirs is, not to copy theirs, but to make sure that we're in the same vein as those two. So I hope to have at the next meeting something, kind of a draft from those two as well. So hopefully you're okay with that DEI statement.
There was also a draft proposal that the school district was working on as well at that point in time. Okay, so, and to answer your question about CDG, our CDG discussion will happen later on this week to get the ball rolling.
And I will obviously reach out to Greg,
Yeah.
Greg since I missed that one.
Yeah.
Like me. Also, comment about, is it appropriate and should the city of Mount Vernon, and that's a council decision here, make a similar statement, not only on that topic, but with regard to openness to LGBTQ plus as a community, our acceptance of words of a comment of acceptance, a statement of acceptance. So that is something that I'm also going to reach out to those entities to see what theirs is, to see if we should craft that. And I guess the question may come up and the discussion may come up was whether we should be doing that. Is that out of our lane there? And I don't know if it is or isn't, but that is out there for discussions. So I'll put that out there.
It wouldn't surprise me, Mayor, if LGBTQ plus would also be included in most DEI statements.
And
Yeah.
that's, I know. So it may be a one-item issue here, and we'll see. I don't have those samples of those other places, so I'll get.
Yeah.
So the question that came up at the CDG meeting was, is this something bigger than us just trying to craft a statement internally? And by that meaning, do we bring in an outside source that has some sort of expertise in not only the crafting of DEI statements, but a statement is only as good as the paper that it's written on if there aren't actionable items.
How does that translate
go along
into?
with it.
Yeah.
So, my plan is to do a little bit of research to see what some other communities have done, but I think my recommendation to you is going to be to bring in an outside source to work through either a work session or at a council meeting. Cornell ahead of the game compared to everybody else, and I think it's a good starting point. But if the council feels like this is a priority, which at least on the DEI side of things, we've said that it is, so we'll be bringing a recommendation to you next month, hopefully, if other cities have reached out to us, letting us know who they use as well, and we'll start that process. Well, we could incorporate both conversations in, during that process with the consultant. It could be one of those situations where this is more than just a one meeting scenario.
Appreciate it. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to elaborate a little bit about what happened at the meeting a week ago, right? So the school, Chris, and CDG representation were around the table, and we discussed what action words we all kind of rallied around, and what the purpose was of a statement and reminding ourselves that the purpose of the statement is that North Star that we're trying to chart actions against to get ourselves towards that area. It is not an end in and of itself. It's that future state of where we want to be. So like Chris said, it's those actions that we would put in place to challenge ourselves to strive towards that star.
So on that note, I was just thinking, has there been discussion about, once we get to that point, do we need to go back and review anything
Didn't jump there yet.
Okay. to make sure that it fits and is up to par with the current statements? Or is
Yeah,
going to?
I mean, a good purpose statement or a good statement like that, yeah, you should pause.
I mean,
at
not
some
only for
point in
future
time.
stuff, but do we need to look at, do we need to review any ordinances or whatever it ends up being?
Lisa and Brenda had done a lot of research
Okay.
prior to that meeting and had provided the group, oh God, there's like 20 DEI statements from various companies. And that was kind of what prompted, I think, the discussion to veer that way was, in some instances, they were statements and they sounded very good, eloquent language. What do you do with it? Other than you can claim that you have a DEI statement. Others were, I think, more succinct, and then you could see where they had the potential to grow those statements. I think CDG, at least the representatives that were there, the conversation led that, there should be some cohesion amongst the groups. We're all one community to a certain extent, and they're going to differ probably a little bit to each organization, but I think the end statement becomes imperative. And Joe pointed out a couple of, particular items that make him feel comfortable, and I think that's, if we're going to do this, it has to be more than just a symbolic
Yes.
statement that everybody else is doing.
Well, thanks, you guys, for doing that.
So just a reminder, the spirit of this all came because it is one of the Great American Main Street evaluation questions is very pointed at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was a very hard question to answer because, as we know, our demographics are not hugely diverse, skin color. Now, diversity is much more than that. But we tried to craft our way around that without a statement. And we are surmising that that was one of the downgrades in our application, was the way that we addressed that. And, we were truthful with what we did because we didn't have any guidance to go by. So this is one part of that overall application that we're really hoping to beef up and live towards by having this in place.
Council members that have talked to me privately or emailed me privately about it know that it's being considered. How we get our hands around it or wrap around it is still being worked on, but I think we'll have all the players at the table here pretty soon, and we'll come up with something that will be something that we can live on in the future. So, that is in the works. That is my mayor's report. Any council reports?
Tied to the CDG, I'm going to be sitting in with Joe Jennison on 4 interviews of potential summer intern candidates within the next 2 weeks. It's his goal to get that person in place before Chuck Block.
Good idea.
That's always the goal.
Which, by the way, the council funds, so.
Yes, that is correct, yeah. So,
Change your attitude there.
They usually want to quit after that.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just and we'll have another meeting before it, but coming up on the 8th is the fireman's breakfast at the fire station, of course. But delicious pancakes and whatnot, so. And the Easter egg hunt just down the road at the current track, former track,
Current track.
current and future not track. So, next to the elementary school, so.
The old,
Good, yeah, the oval as we call it, yeah, so, good clean fun right
kind
now.
of in the theme of days.
So, quite great.
Any other committee reports? Community Childcare Solutions is having a meeting tomorrow night and the following Tuesday as well. There's things probably on the board upstairs that are talking about those.
Is that the
One's
one?
at the Presbyterian Church and one's at Lisbon Heritage Hall. Any other committee reports? This might be before the next meeting, but Lynn County Sustainability is considering environmental justice session. I think it's going to be the first Saturday in April. That's not determined yet. Location somewhere to be determined. It might be in LBC. But put on largely by, they've got their own keynote speaker and so on, but I think I've got 5 minutes to talk about sustainability of Mount Vernon. So that's more of a social justice issue coming up. Anything else in city administrators report?
No, the only thing I will note is that normally we're kind of off week, so when we have a council meeting, the following week, when we have department head and work on the agenda, I think we're gonna hold that this week, because Lee, Lori, and I will be in Iowa City. My goal with having them both attend the Iowa Municipal Managers Institute is to introduce them to not only the entire group, but then there is a fairly strong contingent of women that are part of that organization that I want to introduce them to, some local, some statewide, to open that line of communication for them. So I will apologize if you get multiple emails with packet information next week. The only other thing that I have, just want to give a shout out to the staff. We had an interesting year for snow removal, building projects, bidding scenarios, and everybody's kind of pulled together, gone back to the drawing board, found ways to save money. You always feel somewhat defeated when you have to recommend a tax increase. We don't have to recommend a tax increase after 25 years, but it's no in small part by the work that the staff has done the last couple of years. So.
I don't think this council's done yet.
Nope.
Congratulations.
Your list never seems to get smaller.
One thing also, two things come on.
Yeah. I will tell you that your strategic planning goal session, I was just looking at that as I was sharing it with Lee and Lori. It's probably time because your list is semi-depleted.
It's been a while.
Oh, well.
So, we started moving on to some of your secondary items, and it's probably time to see what of those items need to be primary. Having a conversation.
Okay.
Anything else that needs to come before this group? Otherwise, it is 7:33 and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Can I get a-